Welcome back to another episode of the Real Health Podcast. We're excited that you dive in with us here as we explore thyroid. So today we're actually going to talk about the thyroid gland. We're going to talk about thyroid function. I'm going to give you some just some tips to help improve thyroid function, as well as the conversion of thyroid hormones. We're going to talk about pregnancy, the optimal thyroid hormone level, and just overall why you should be asking for very specific tests at your next doctor's appointment in regards to thyroid levels. Now, if we look at the thyroid gland, it is mainly responsible for, think of it like metabolism, okay? And so the way the thyroid works is the brain communicates to the thyroid gland through a hormone called TSH, or thyroid stimulating hormone. And then the thyroid releases that a hormone called T4 that then travels throughout the body and mainly in the liver is then converted to a hormone called T3. And T3, that's the active hormone. That's what allows the metabolic processes of what the thyroid's design is to happen, okay? And so when you typically go into a doctor's appointment, usually they're just going to run TSH, sometimes T4, and sometimes T3. But mainly what they look at is just the TSH level, their thyroid stimulating hormone. So we're going to talk about why that's not a great way to understand how healthy the thyroid is. And we're going to talk about what you need to be asking for at your next doctor's appointment. Hey, if this is the first time you're listening, make sure you check us out on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel, Real Health Co. And that way you can actually see us live through a video. And then obviously we're on all platforms for podcasts that you can listen to, Apple or Spotify. Please, as we've asked in the past, give us a rating, give us reviews. That helps kind of push us up to the top and allows more people to hear about real health. So let's go back. Let's dive into that thyroid and let's have that conversation. So I talked about TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, and why that's not just the only marker we want to look at. And here's why. When we look at TSH, the range is broad. It's like 0.5 to 5.0, right? Can be technically like healthy or normal or within range. But yet there are people that are like 4, 3.5, 4.5 on that like upper range of TSH, and they just don't feel great. They have like brittle nails or hairs falling out or low energy levels or whatever the symptom is related to your thyroid. They're starting to have those symptoms. And when you look at that TSH and you're seeing that number start to climb, we realize, hey, maybe the thyroid isn't as healthy as we thought. So the first thing, and this is in relationship to pregnancy, we really want that TSH to be below 2.5. Now that range may again go up to 5, but ideally, functionally, we want a TSH to be below 3 in a healthy person, and then to prevent miscarriages and to create optimal fertility environment, we want a TSH below 2.5. And that's a sweet spot for the thyroid to be. And so when looking at your TSH levels, make sure that that is the marker that you're looking at, and that is the level that you want it to be at, okay? When the thyroid is not healthy, TSH will actually climb. It'll increase, okay, in most people. Now, there is a situation in hyperthyroidism where the TSH starts to drop, but in most people, hypothyroid or underfunctioning thyroid is going to have a high TSH. And so when we start getting into 5 and 6 and 7 and 8, 9, 10, this indicates that your brain is saying, hey, there's not enough thyroid hormone. There's not enough T3. And so because of that, there's not enough T3, the brain is going to stimulate the thyroid to release thyroid stimulating hormone, to release more T4. So in essence, a high TSH indicates that the brain wants the body to make more T4. Okay, and so this is hypothyroidism. This means the thyroid is under functioning. So we want more of that thyroid hormone. Now, here's what's amazing. This is what most people don't tell you, especially most physicians today. But that T4 hormone is converted in the liver. Like 80% of that hormone is converted in the liver, majority of it. And so when we look at like today's society and the toxicity, the nutritional choices, the lack of hydration, the lack of movement, alcohol consumption, right? We look at toxicity in our food supply. We realize it burdens the liver. And as the liver is burdened and stressed and toxic, guess what it won't do effectively? It's not going to convert your thyroid hormone effectively. T4 will kind of sluggishly convert to T3. And so is this a true thyroid issue? No, this is a liver problem. And in most early cases of thyroid involvement, we see it as a liver issue, not a thyroid gland issue. It's not like the thyroid isn't making enough T4. It's due to the liver not converting T4 to enough T3. And at the end of the day, if T3 is low, then the brain is going to see that. It's going to signal to the thyroid to make more T4 to hopefully get more T3 at the end. So the first issue that we see is that in most thyroid patients, we got to look at the liver. The liver is essential for thyroid conversion to happen. And actually, the liver is essential for all hormone conversion. So hormone metabolism is largely in need of a healthy liver. So not just thyroid, but estrogen and progesterone and testosterone. We want a healthy liver to make sure we're metabolizing hormones effectively. Specifically, today, we're talking about the thyroid. So the first thing is, when looking at your typical doctor's panel, okay, and we see TSH on there, and we see it maybe above 3, maybe it's 4, maybe it's 5, or even higher, we got to think, let's look at the liver. Let's improve the liver. And if we can improve the liver through detoxification support, antioxidants, healthy nutrients, food consumption, hydration, and we get the liver working better, a lot of times we see a direct improvement in your thyroid health. So the first thing is, let's look at liver. Second, there is a thyroid hormone that is almost never tested. This thyroid hormone tells so much about how well your body is making T3. And I'm going to say this is the number 2 issue in relationship to why the thyroid, it may not be healthy, why you may be functionally hypothyroid. This is called reverse T3. So our T3 or reverse T3 is something usually not checked. Now, here's what happens. After the body, right, takes and TSH, and the thyroid then makes T4, and T4 goes to the liver, and from T4, there's another option where the body actually converts to a different hormone, not T3, but reverse T3. Reverse T3. Why would the body do this? Reverse T3, it actually binds to the same receptor as T3, so the active thyroid hormone, but it's not active. This reverse T3 hormone actually doesn't allow your body to like increase metabolism and burn fat, and it blocks T3 from doing its job. In healthy people, you should have 10 times more T3 than you do reverse T3. But yet most people swing towards a higher amount of reverse T3. So your body is actually making reverse T3. Why? Stress. Research shows that under stress, so the adrenal system's not healthy, we're stressed, we got physical, chemical, emotional stress, we're not sleeping well, we're eating poor food, your body will actually make more reverse T3. This is like an innate design protective to the human body. Under stress, the body's trying to actually conserve energy. It's trying to protect itself. So it doesn't want to burn fat, it doesn't want to burn calories. It wants to protect the body. And so that's why the body will actually make reverse T3 to slow down metabolism, to actually create a sluggish environment, to create hey, I need to rest, I need to sleep, I need to recover until I'm out of this stressful response. This is an innate response of the human body. It's so essential to look at reverse T3 because it tells you, are you stressed? Not if you perceive you're stressed, not if you think you're stressed. No, does your body express stress in a harmful way? And if it does, if you're not adapting well and you're not stress resilient, you're going to make more reverse T3. The adrenals. This is like the adrenal glands. This is where this conversation now comes into play. And a lot of people hear about the adrenals and why they're important. They're the stress gland of the body. They make cortisol. This is so vital here. Step 1, support the liver. Step 2, let's support and look at the adrenal glands, the stress gland system of the body. And so this is where like cold showers come in or cold plunging comes in. Why? Because it actually helps build stress resiliency. We can get a reversal of reverse T3 to T3 production. We actually get more T3 production. Adaptogenic herbs, supporting the adrenal system through ashwagandha, L-theanine. It's great. Ginseng, great way to help support the adrenal glands. Early morning sunlight. Okay, getting up early and seeing that sunlight first thing in the morning, delaying maybe caffeine consumption the first hour of awakening. And then not consuming too much caffeine, taking a midday nap if needed, or getting 8 hours of sleep at night. These things are essential to healthy stress adaptations. Going for a walk, resting, recovering, having a Sabbath every week. These things help the body recover and break that stress response. And this, in turn, will help your body convert to a higher level of T3 than reverse T3 and make you more metabolically active. This is where you go to the doctor and they say, hey, your thyroid is healthy, yet you have all the hypothyroid symptoms. Why? Because your body's stressed. Why? Because your liver's not healthy. So, hey, what do? We improve liver function. What do? We improve our stress adaptations, become more resilient, stress resilient. And then number 3, check for autoimmunity. Number 1, liver. Number 2, stress. Number 3, autoimmunity. When we look at young people being diagnosed with hypothyroidism, a majority of the time, it's actually undiagnosed Hashimoto's, or what we would call thyroiditis. It's an inflammatory autoimmune condition of the thyroid where the body's literally attacking the thyroid. Why would the immune system attack the thyroid? Because it thinks it's foreign. Why? Because we've lost oral tolerance. Why? Because of excessive glyphosate consumption, heavy metal toxicity, and gluten. Gluten. The body actually, there's a direct correlation between being sensitive to gluten and hypothyroidism, specifically from Hashimoto's. The first thing that we look at when we see a hypothyroid case, we get them off gluten and we look for heavy metals or specifically mercury, okay? So there is a marker that you have to push for, okay? If you are hypothyroid, so if you have a high TSH, right, and your thyroid is functioning lower than it should, then look for this marker, okay? Ask for this marker at your next physical. It's called TPO-AB, TPO-AB, or thyroid peroxidase antibody. This is an antibody to make sure that you are not in a Hashimoto situation. The other antibody that can be sometimes run in conjunction is called thyroglobulin antibody. And it's essential to look at these antibodies to determine whether or not the thyroid is autoimmune. Because if it's autoimmune, you're going to take a totally different approach than if it's like liver and adrenal and stress. We actually have to heal the gut, reverse autoimmunity, get you off gluten, detox the body, and actually hopefully reverse your autoimmune situation, which depending upon the phase of autoimmunity can be done. So much opportunity here within the thyroid. when we look at liver, when we look at stress and adrenal health, when we look at Hashimoto's or autoimmune thyroid, there's one other category, and this is in relation to pregnancy, that we need to look at. And we talked about pregnancy, fertility, your TSH levels being under 2.5. There's one more thing. If you've delivered a baby, okay, your postpartum health check has to include the thyroid. Has to. And it has to specifically include your TPO antibody, thyroid peroxidase antibody. Why? Because postpartum thyroiditis is extremely common. We need to be looking at this. So be an advocate for your health. Ask for these tests. Find a functional health practitioner to help you navigate through this complex thyroid conversation. Is it my liver? Is it my adrenals? Is it stress? Is it food? Is it new? That's where a health practitioner can help you, to advise you. The thyroid is something that we don't look deep enough to find the problem behind it. And so this is like today's podcast. It's like a public service announcement, right? Hey, these things you have to look at when it comes to the thyroid gland. Every year, TSH, T4, T3, reverse T3, and at least the thyroid peroxidase antibody. Be an advocate for your health. Ask for these tests specifically related to the thyroid. And if they're imbalanced, let's start moving our bodies in the right direction by supporting the liver, supporting the adrenal glands, and making sure we're not in an autoimmune situation by supporting healthy gut function. Hey, I hope today was helpful for you. I hope today kind of just exposed the thyroid gland. And if this was an episode that didn't really apply to you, but you have someone in your life that hey, this would absolutely apply to them, send it to them. We try to create these commuter-style podcasts for you to get a quick understanding of how the body's working, what could potentially be going on, and how to search out for help and be an advocate for your health journey. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Real Health Podcast.